As a new manager, my boss told me to start keeping a stricter leash on my subordinates. Okay. A few years ago I was a maintenance manager for a rental company. We had about 700 units, apartments and houses, and only 5 full-time workers. It was only sustainable because we had one tradesman, Bob, who would work without any complaints. Clogged toilets, heat not working, fixing anything that he was in contact with. When I became manager, my boss wanted me monitor Bob's actual work times because all the boss saw was that Bob was 5 to 10 minutes late every day and wouldn't accept that he was working 50+ hours a week. We agreed on a punch-in clock to solve this problem. Now I was in maintenance before with Bob. He was a mule but worked more and harder. I knew if we monitored his hours it would be far more than before. In the first week with the clock, Bob's check had 40-some hours. The boss felt vindicated and gloated that we would probably save around my yearly bonus now. Fast forward to the end of my position there and Bob had went 30 weeks in a row with 50+ hours, effectively turning the $75,000 job into a $125,000 job. Bob had built up 4 weeks sick days and 3 weeks vacation. He knew I was leaving. I like tools, not paperwork, and wanted to book off all this time before I left. I submitted the requests and HR approved them. On my last day there and the beginning of Bob's vacation, he announced he was submitting his resignation and today was his last day. My boss made me take him to the office and convince him to stay. We ended up grabbing our coats and went out for a beer. I found out later that they had to hire 2 people to replace Bob and the boss was not getting an extension on his contract. Micromanagers always end up costing the company one way or another. Due to abusive boss and coworkers, a friend found a better job. He was a good worker, honest, smart. He was replaced by 3 people. Never mess with Bob. This should be taught at all business schools. What I've learned about the people who do this: they're deathly paranoid that people are trying to steal from them. They think everyone else is doing this because they would do it in their position. These people can't comprehend that someone may actually be working hard and putting in more than required. So they view that person with suspicion and doubt, because they would never do the same. Any boss who micromanages this way, keep that in mind. They'll happily screw you over if they feel they can get away with it. Never fuck with the guy who unclogs your toilets. Reminds me of when I was made assistant manager at a Hardee's in the early 90s. I was only 17. I'd worked there long enough to know what needed to be done and how to get it all done. The first night on my own, the head manager took me aside and pointed at James, the guy running the grill and fryer, and said, "You know who manages James? James manages James. Not you. Just stay out of his way and don't hassle him." At our company we earned 0.5 sick hours for every 10 we worked. So essentially we got 2 hours every week. Company policy was that there was no limit to how many you could bank. Bob basically blew a huge hole in the organization. Then with COVID hitting, they fell apart. We all know a Bob or 2 in the workplace. I have one reporting to me as well. He's introverted and uncomfortable with group interactions, so I allowed him to skip meetings with a valid reason. Then I have a Nick. He comes in early and leaves late but never gets anything done. I keep him for the bad times. When I have to give a name to retrench, I have one at the ready. Did you help Bob report the wage theft he experienced prior to the time clock being installed? Once worked at a company that had a worker who would no call no show. Show up halfway through the day. Check off work they didn't do. Made my life 1,000 times harder trying to get things done with no idea if I needed to do their job too. When management did nothing, I documented everything for them. So they had all the proof they needed to fire this person. They still did nothing. I was fine to do both jobs. That was less work than trying to deal with this person fucking things up. But no. I had to tell them either they fire this person or I leave. I left and they hired 2 people to replace me. They had 3 people on payroll to do a job I would have done all by myself. They paid everyone the same wage too. It was ridiculous. People like Bob are workhorses. They don't complain and will do jobs others won't. Will work harder than others but aren't self-promoting, and because of it people like your boss have no idea how much they bring to the business, how much they do. Only when they leave does the business realize what they have lost. Bosses may like show ponies. In reality, they should like and respect workhorses far more. I think Bob got tired of the escalating bullshit and quit. So basically Bob had been exploited and there should have been another, at least, half-time guy the whole time? That's sort of the situation I've been in. 21 years at my company. Management for the last 5 of them. Salary was a bad mistake, but I took my position very seriously. 60+ hours a week every week. Coming in on weekends and holidays even if it was just to relieve a worker's lunch or break because I lived 5 minutes away. Literally getting calls 24/7 on my personal cell from other departments. Need me to work 3 splits in a week so we can have a management presence throughout every shift? No problem. That's my kinda shit right there. I like to be useful. My director had me take over the schedule. Which is fine. But between trying to do my own job, fill in for people who called off, or having to schedule myself in position because we're awfully understaffed, maintaining our database, etc., I wasn't able to do my paperwork as diligently as I'd normally like. So I'm told there's no excuse. That it has to be done regardless. Even though I'm literally working 7 days a week for months on end doing paperwork on my days off. Between going in if they need something from the store, or whatever other reason they'd need an adult there. So finally about a month ago I said, fuck it. And looked on Indeed for another job in a totally different industry. Applied and got it. And now starting in a week I'm working at home. Doing client support. 8 hours a day. 5 days a week. And I don't have to worry about schedules or covering a shift because someone peed themselves a little bit. Or any of that dumb shit. I've worked under 7 different directors in all my years there. And I guess I suck setting boundaries, but I never had to before. I took care of my director. And they took care of me. You been working like a dog? Take a day off and don't answer your phone. Want to work from home to catch up on paperwork? Go for it. That wasn't how it was going these past few years. It was do all that shit and you'd better physically be there 50 hours a week. So, I just noped out. I'm taking a pretty big pay cut. But you know what? I'm still doing alright and I've learned with my age that some things aren't worth it. Man. Good for Bob. And good for you. Effectively turning the $75,000 job into a $125,000 job. Oomph. $75,000 job into a $125,000. It's like you wrote this post just for this line specifically to piss me off. My platoon sergeant is like this. Every second of the duty day must be accounted for. Even if it's just doing mindless busy work that has no value beyond being mindless busy work. You know, instead of actually training us to do our jobs. He's single-handedly decimated his own platoon by ensuring that everyone with operational experience is getting out next summer because they're done with his bullshit. Moral of the story: don't fuck with Bob. Came in expecting, well, BDSM. Left with a wholesome story. I was Bob. It was great. We were understaffed, so I just worked longer hours and did more tickets. Customers were happy. I was clocking 55 hours a week. Life was good, as I was the only contractor in a place full of salaried staff who worked 37.5 hours a week. The accounts lady, I'd say person, but she is a lady, decided I needed to be paid the same as the salaried employees, despite being a contractor logging hours. How did they fix this? They hired 2 more staff members. So I went from 55+ hours a week with plenty to do, to doing approximately 15 hours of work, charging $37.5 and having the other 2 staff members constantly fall behind on work because I couldn't just take all their work off them. Building up sick days? That's a load of nonsense. You're either sick or you're not. It's stupid company making you earn the right to be too sick to come into work.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.